It's 3 in the morning. The house is silent. The world is asleep, but you are awake. You are awake because a single, cold thought has wrapped itself around your mind. Am I falling behind? It's a quiet question, but its echo is deafening. It lives in the space between the career milestones you see on LinkedIn, the curated vacations on Instagram, and the ever-present hum of financial news whispering about markets, opportunities, and the wealth you haven't yet secured. This feeling, this low-grade, persistent anxiety, is more than just a bad mood. It's a thief. It steals the joy from your present successes, replacing it with the fear of a future deficit. It erodes your confidence, making you believe that your worth is a number in a bank account, a number that is never, ever high enough. It whispers that peace of mind is something you must purchase, a luxury item waiting on a shelf you can't quite reach. And so you run. You work harder, you strategize, you optimize, but you find yourself on a treadmill in the dark, heading towards a dawn that never seems to break. But what if this treadmill isn't real? What if the race itself is a fiction? What if we could, just for a moment, step outside the noise of our modern world and into the profound silence of an ancient one? I want to invite you to do just that. Let us leave behind the glowing screens and the endless notifications, and together, let's unroll a scroll. It's old, written not on paper but on papyrus, the words penned by a man who stood at the absolute pinnacle of wealth and power in the Roman Empire, a man who advised the emperor, a man named Seneca. This scroll is not a financial plan. It is a protocol. The Seneca Protocol. It is a survival guide for the soul, and within it, he exposes 3 fundamental lies we tell ourselves about wealth. Lies that don't lead to prosperity, but guarantee misery. The first characters on this ancient scroll form a stark warning, revealing the first great lie, that wealth is a finish line. Our culture sells us this dream relentlessly. The dream that one day you will arrive. You will hit the magic number, buy the perfect house, achieve the final promotion, and then, and only then, will you be able to exhale. You will be happy. You will be at peace. But Seneca, watching the richest men in Rome, saw the truth. He saw that this finish line is a mirage in the desert, a horizon that recedes the faster you run towards it. The man who dreamed of 1 million is, upon getting it, tortured by the thought of 10 million. The person who finally buys their dream home immediately begins to worry about its upkeep, its security, the grander home of their neighbor. Seneca understood a crucial piece of human psychology. Desire, when attached to external things, is a fire that feeds on its own fulfillment. Every victory just expands the battlefield. This is not a path to peace. It's a blueprint for perpetual anxiety. Seneca wrote these words not as a philosopher in an ivory tower, but as a man surrounded by immense luxury, who saw with his own eyes that the richest men were often the most enslaved, chained to the very fortune they had spent their lives acquiring. As we accept this difficult truth, that happiness isn't a number we can earn, it forces us to confront a deeper, more insidious belief. This brings us to the second lie etched into the protocol, that wealth is security. We tell ourselves that if we can't buy happiness, we can at least buy a fortress. A fortress of assets, stocks, and property that will protect us from the brutal randomness of life. Money becomes our shield against illness, against loss, against fate itself. But this is the most fragile shield of all. Seneca lived a life of violent uncertainty. He was exiled, his property was confiscated, he faced down the whims of a tyrannical emperor, and he was ultimately ordered to take his own life. He knew, in his very bones, that fortune is a fickle god. It gives, and it takes away, without reason or warning. A market can crash, a diagnosis can arrive, a natural disaster can strike, and in an instant, the fortress of gold reveals itself to be made of sand. To place your sense of safety in something that can be taken from you in a moment is not to build a fortress, it is to build a prison of fear. Your life becomes a frantic effort to guard the walls, to patch the cracks, to live in constant dread of the storm that is always, eventually, coming. Seneca saw this not as pessimism, but as liberation. The moment you stop believing your security lies in your bank account is the moment you can start building it somewhere it can never be touched. And once we see that wealth cannot promise a future free from pain, we are left with its final, most poisonous deception. The third and final lie Seneca exposes is this: that wealth is a measure of your worth. This is perhaps the most personal lie of them all. We live in a world that screams this untruth from every rooftop. Your value as a human being, your intelligence, your goodness, your contribution to the world is subtly and constantly conflated with your net worth. We scroll through feeds and see not people, but lifestyles. We attend gatherings and the question, "What do you do?" is not a question about passion, but an assessment of economic status. This lie reduces the infinite, complex miracle of a human life to a single, crude data point on a spreadsheet. It creates a silent, brutal hierarchy where we are constantly ranking ourselves against others and almost always finding ourselves lacking. Seneca looked upon the Roman Forum, a place of immense status and ego, and argued that a virtuous, enslaved man possessed more true worth than a corrupt emperor. He knew that character, resilience, wisdom, and kindness were the only true currencies of a life well lived. Your wealth is what you have, your worth is who you are. To confuse the two is to sell your soul for a handful of coins, to trade the eternal for the temporary. Now, let's step back from the scroll for a moment and look at the three lies together. That wealth is a finish line, that wealth is security, that wealth is a measure of worth. Do you see what connects them? They are all an act of outsourcing. They are all an attempt to find your peace, your safety, and your value in things outside of yourself. Things that are inherently unstable, unpredictable, and ultimately meaningless to the core of your being. The Seneca Protocol is not about managing your money, it's about mastering your mind. The ultimate revelation, the central message woven through all his work, is this: true wealth is not found in accumulation, but in insulation. It is the fortress of a mind that needs nothing outside of itself to be whole. A mind that finds joy in simple things. A mind that finds security in its own resilience. A mind that finds its worth in its own character. This is a fortune that no market crash can erase and no thief can steal. And so, we gently roll the scroll closed. The scent of ancient wisdom lingers in the air. But this protocol is no longer just a relic of the past. By walking this path, by understanding these lies, this wisdom now belongs to you. The ability to separate what you have from who you are, the power to build an inner citadel that no external chaos can breach, that is now your inheritance. You hold the key to stepping off the treadmill. If this journey resonated with you, give this video a like and subscribe for more explorations into timeless wisdom. And to affirm this shift within yourself, comment below with the words, "I am the fortress." Acknowledge that your true security and your true worth are built within.